What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got the Raev GTX electric bike sitting in front of me. This is one of 45. We did get the limited edition color, which is like a polished chrome look, but this isn't different from any other GTX bike that you're gonna order that's black, yellow, or green. Those are the three other options and colors that you can get. This one is completely sold out. I think it was an extra $500. So this one was closer to $3,000 when it came out. This bike right now is about $2,400, $2,500 depending on when you go to their website and look at the sales they got going on. And I also have a discount as well that takes an extra $100 off this bike. So use it, links down in the description, do all that. And if you really want to save some money on this bike, you don't have to get it in the 2 battery configuration what I have right now. You can get it for about $2,100 and just get the 20 amp hour battery. But talking about this 20 amp hour battery, now they fixed it by the way, but people know if you first pre-order this bike, this battery has been recalled. So I'm actually running on a fire hazard right now. So I'm actually not supposed to be using this battery, but I'm just gonna use it anyway for this review video. They're gonna send every single person that bought a GTX bike a new battery. So that's great. And then they just want you to dispose of that. I don't even think they want them back. The other problem with this bike though, and it might be for the new bikes coming out as well. So if you're to order one right now, you might have a headlight issue, which I did in my last video. So what happened is the circuitry board for the LED that sits in here, it burned out. So it's only performing at like 5 to 10% capacity, like output. So you might have an issue with the headlight. The company knows about it. So they're working on replacing them on the other bikes, but there might be some bikes that ship out with this headlight on here. And if you do have an issue, you just have to contact the company and it's gonna suck because you can't ride it at night. But those are the 2 biggest concerns of this bike right now. So we got that information out of the way. You guys needed to know that right off the bat. I just think it was fair enough to say that. Now let's kind of go over some stuff on this bike so you guys know what's up with it. And you guys probably already know this information too, because I'm a little bit behind on reviewing this bike because my schedule sucks and trying to do these bike reviews is really hard. So we got a 1,000-watt hub motor in the back. We got V-spec tires, the Huntsman tires, by the way. These are some fantastic tires. I love them. It comes with free pegs now. I didn't get the free pegs, but it's cool that they give you the option for pegs now because this is a very wide, very soft seat. It's great. It's good for 2 passengers as well. You're just gonna have to scoot up a little bit. I would say if you're on the very heavier side and a really bigger person, then you're probably not gonna be able to fit 2 people on here. But if you're 2 smaller people, I think it should be fine. Nice big chain ring right here. The only bad thing about that chain ring is it's a single gear in the back, and with pedaling this bike, it's garbage. So don't get this bike if you're planning on pedaling a bike because it's just not gonna be very great to pedal. Now right behind that chain ring, you might think it's a torque sensor, but it's a cadence sensor, so it just acts with the pedals. So if you put it in number 3 and move the pedals, it's gonna give you the most power possible without any effort. And then you have your 8 amp hour battery right here, and you have your 20 amp hour battery right here. So you're gonna get 28 amp hours in total. You're looking at probably, I would say, like 35 to 37 miles of range. And if you only have 1 battery, you're probably looking at about like 25 to 28 miles of range. And they give you 2 keys and they're both different. So keep in mind, you don't want to lose these keys. What I'd probably suggest is take 1 set of each key and put them together, and then keep the other 2 sets that are different in your house or lockbox or whatever, so you don't lose these keys. Because once you lose 1 whole set of this, you're not gonna be able to take one of those batteries off, and that's gonna suck. Okay, so the next thing I need to show you guys is how I look sitting on the bike. I'm about 5'9", 5'10", and I can put my feet down, but it's a little bit more harder to put my feet down on this bike compared to traditional bikes because the seat is so wide that my feet are going out like this instead of going straight up and down. So it does feel a little bit uncomfortable in here in my inner thighs, but it's not the end of the world, especially when you actually start riding it and you put your feet up. All that goes away. But when you actually start pedaling again, if you really want to pedal this bike, because you can, it's just not that great, you're gonna start feeling it in your thighs with this wide seat. Another thing to keep in mind too is this bike does hold up to someone that's 330 pounds. And if this bike is too tall for you, look at the GT model because this is made for taller riders. And I got my measuring thing right here so I can show you guys how high this seat is if I go right in the middle with the bike kind of sitting up. And it's about 33 inches roughly from the ground. So that's decently high. It's not as high as like a Cyber X bike, the large one, that's like 35 inches from the ground, and that's made for people over like 6'2". But it's not too bad, but just keep in mind, if you're very short, like under 5'5", this might not be a bike for you. All right, one last thing we do before we take it out for a spin is I like to walk around the bike and kind of show you guys some up close stuff. You can see this battery right here. A lot of people are going to be worried about that battery coming down, but just make sure you lock it in place. You also have this button to check the battery charge if you do want to take these off and go charge them in your house. The other one is on top right here, and that will show you. It's a little hard to see. So you can definitely take both those batteries off if you want. I just leave them in my garage and just charge them into here. So if you have stairs that you got to go up to, then yeah, it's definitely nice to take those off. Or you're going to put it on your bike rack. It definitely saves some weight because this bike is 85 pounds with both of the batteries on there, which is actually surprisingly pretty light, I think. And here is a look at this headlight up here. It does come with a reflector on the handlebars. You can take that off if you want. You got compression adjustments right here, and you got a preload adjustment right there. You also have these two bolts right here. You can put like a bag right here. You can store something else on here. I haven't really seen many accessories for this, but you could definitely put something there if you want. And then the only thing that I wish this bike came with was BMX style handlebars. I'm not a big fan of these type of handlebars because now I can't put anything extra around this bar. Like if I want to put my phone up here, I could probably put it up here or put it right here, but it's also going to block this, or it's going to get in the way somewhere. So I would have liked to seen a BMX style handlebar on here. The cable management is great though. The brakes are branded by Raev. I love these brakes. They feel really good. You also got adjustments right here, which is super nice. I love these. Moving down here, there's a look at your dual chamber air shock right there. It says 200L on the side by Fast Ace. On the other side, you do have your adjustment to put some air in there if you want to do that. I'm just riding it the way it came, but if you really want to perfect it, you definitely want to mess with this rear shock to get it right for you. Here is a look at the rear brake caliber right there. It says M4X on it. And here is a look at that motor right back here. It looks like your standard like 750 watt motor, but it definitely puts out some good power. You do have a 30 amp controller back down in here. So that's putting out a really good amount of power, and it's a 52 volt if I haven't mentioned that already. And then I also want to show you guys these tires because these tires are absolutely fantastic. They are so thick, my whole hand can like fit in here. So you're not gonna have to replace these as much as you would a standard tire. But keep in mind, if you do burnouts or you do stupid stuff with it, you're definitely gonna wear them down a lot faster, but they're definitely gonna take a while to do so. This is how you turn the display on, just this middle button right there. It comes on pretty quick. Turn the headlight on, you just hold that button and you can tell when the screen gets brighter, and then you can turn it off by doing that. But what I wanted to show you guys with this bike being on is how the brake light looked. And what's cool about this bike is even though the bike's on and I haven't turned the headlights or any of the lights on whatsoever, the brake light always works with the brake levers. Even if you do not have the headlight on because it's just daytime, this is a nice safety thing, and the brake light is actually pretty bright. I will say the reflector is kind of useless. I mean, I know there's gonna be a lot of people that kind of are gonna say leave it on there, but I also feel like it blocks a lot of that light. I don't know, that's just me. I think it blocks a lot of the light from the top. It does light up the reflector pretty nice though, but I think you can get a little bit more broader light if you remove that reflector. But anyways, other than that, when you do turn the headlight on, you can't obviously see my headlight because it's broken, but going off the tail light does come on, but it does get brighter when you hit the brake lever, so that's a huge safety thing. I'll turn off the lights really quick so you can see what's going on and how it looks. I got one light in my garage above me. I don't know how that camera's gonna focus right now because our headlight is obviously burned out. This is not the quality that you're supposed to get out of these headlights, but we are waiting for a replacement. So you can see that it might be flickering on camera, so we just have to wait for that. Another thing I need to tell you guys real quick that I don't like about this bike before we take it out for a spin is this kickstand. I hate it. This is a standard traditional kickstand they put on all these bikes, right? And I love these kickstands. They normally have a set screw right there, like right behind there's a set screw. Not on this one though. They put two rivets right here. That means you can't adjust this, you can't do anything. There's no way I'm taking those out and putting a screw. I don't even know if they have the bracket back there for the screw to like lock it in place. Well, what happens is this bike leans too far over. It's almost falling on itself, and any type of wind or driveway, depending on where you set your bike up, it's just not great, and I'll show you that right now. The bike just leans too far over. I'm not a big fan of that, and when I put it on my driveway, especially if it's on a slope, it just wants to fall over. Like, it's really easy to like fall over, so not a big fan of that. But other than that, I think it's time to get on the road because I've been out in this garage forever, and we gotta go take it through our tests and see just how it performs out in the real world. So let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the GoPro. And I'm gonna see how fast this thing goes right off the bat, because we got a full battery charge on both of these batteries. One battery goes down pretty damn fast because of voltage sag on the 8 amp hour battery. So don't be concerned if all of a sudden you go down to 3 battery bars and I want to say like 8 miles. That's just because the voltage sag of the smaller battery is messing with the voltage on here. The cool thing I like about this display, and right now we're doing about 32, but I have seen more out of this bike, is you can hit the power button and it'll say your max speed. So 33 miles per hour is the max that we did. Our average speed has been almost 6 miles per hour, and then we're back to normal. Another thing I like about this display is it shows our miles on the bottom, and then if you hit the power button, it will change on the bottom. So our trip right now, I've went 1 mile exactly, and then 8 minutes the bike has been on. And then here's our max power. It's showing 1,600 watts. That's crazy when there's supposed to be a 1,000 watt hub motor. Now it is unlocked, so we are able to go as fast as this bike will go. But I was not expecting over 1,500 watts of power out of this rear motor. That is good. You guys see that? 1,700 watts, 1,800 watts? What? That's why this bike has really, really good power. All right, so I'm in the bike lane, but the bike lane ain't gonna work for me, so I gotta come onto the sidewalk and actually hit the button to go across. How stupid is that? All right, let's do one last speed test on this bike before I pull out my phone, because I am recording right now. And I want to get the maximum top speed that I can show you guys on a full battery charge. I've seen about 35 on average, and then going downhill about 37. And I weigh about 170 pounds. But right now I'm only seeing about 32, maybe 33. Let's see what GPS is actually showing. 33.1 miles per hour. Okay, so it's kind of making a little liar out of me, but that shows accurate, because we have never went over 33 miles per hour. And I can see, look, 33.1 and 33.1. That is 100% accurate. Gotta love it. I love when bike companies are now fixing the issues that we previously had like a year ago, with all these being off like 10 to 5 miles per hour, which is crazy. All right, we got to get over to our designated speed test, but I do see people, so we're going to be flying past a few people right now. All right, so we're going to use throttle only from here, and we're going to go all the way to the end, and we're going to see how fast this bike goes. If it is over 27 miles per hour, that means it's on the quicker side of e-bikes. If it's under 27 miles per hour, that means it's on the slower end of e-bikes. If it's exactly at 27, it's almost like 95% of the e-bikes that I review. So let me get back into my mile per hour. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And let's see if these people move out of the way. Where are they going? This bike is moving though. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So it means we reached 29 miles per hour in that stretch, which is really good for this bike. I'm telling you, it has a lot of power. Now we're gonna try out the pedals. Now we have no gears up here, so let's just try the pedals and see how it is to start, and then I'll see where ghost pedaling starts. I don't think it's gonna be the best bike to pedal though, so here we go. Oh God. Oh God. Oh, that was a huge delay. All right, so I'm ghost pedaling at like 14 miles an hour. I do not feel connected to this bike whatsoever. So all I gotta do is barely move the pedals. Like, look how slow I'm moving these pedals, and the bike is just giving me all the power I need, and it's just going. But yeah, so this is not a very good bike to pedal. Now the chainring up front is very big compared to the GT model. They upped it, but since there's no gears, it doesn't make any sense. That means that starting from a takeoff from 0 miles per hour, it actually makes it harder to get the bike to start moving. Like right now, look, I'm gonna pedal, no throttle, look. Oh my God, it takes like 2 seconds for it to activate, and I'm on it. Like, it's really resistant. So not a big fan of pedaling this bike. All right, now I gotta see how it goes uphill. We'll use a throttle only, and we'll see how well it does, and then we'll do it with the pedals only. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Yeah, so it makes it up that perfectly fine with the throttle. It has enough power. It's a 52-volt bike. Not gonna have any complaints at all. Now let's try the pedal, since they have a huge delay in them. Let me move the pedal in the correct position, because it's gonna be hard to do. All right, here we go. Let's see if it does it before it doesn't kick in. Oh, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. So trying to pedal is not going to be the best thing on this bike because the power is not going to kick in. So I got to go a little bit farther back and see if we can get the pedals to actually activate to give me the power to go up. And it won't. So you're going to have to use throttle to go up these hills because it's just not going to do it with the pedals. So that's kind of disappointing, I would say, on this bike. They definitely needed to put gears on this thing. Now, I'm not someone to pedal, but definitely for situations like that, they should have changed the chainring size if they knew people weren't going to be able to pedal this bike at high speed. They should have just put a smaller chainring on there like they did the GT model. What the heck? Dang. Remember that Honda Civic that I told you that was stolen? Well, it is definitely messed up now. And why is it here? And why is there burnout marks all over the place? And why is it like these zigzags? What the heck? I knew this car was gonna get messed up. And I'm surprised it is still here and not like in a junkyard or tow yard or something. But man, someone really jacked this car up and had fun. Let's follow the tire marks. Let's do a little bit of off-road action because we got these nice tires on here. Woo! It's a little muddy out here. It just rained last night, like all night. I was gonna shoot this video review yesterday, and what happened is, well, the rain. It's been raining on me constantly, and trying to get these videos done is not fun. So I'm trying to get this done because it's actually gonna rain in about 2 hours. So we gotta hurry up, but so far, it feels great off-road. I'm not gonna say it's the best bike off-road, and I'm getting hit by gnats all over the place, so I need to close my helmet. The rear suspension is working flawlessly. I love it. The front is not the best though. I gotta say that the front could be better. And keep in mind on the front, I do have it all the way down, so the preload is as much as it will go. The compression is as soft as it will go. And it's soft, don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit more firm than the bag. The bag is just nice and plush. I'm not having any issues. But do I think the average person that gets this bike and goes off-roading is gonna complain about it? No, not really. It's just not the highest of the high end, but it's definitely okay. Now, I've been riding this bike with gloves all the time, and not having gloves this time, I will say I do not like the grips. They don't feel very good, especially the throttle placement as well. It's really hurting my thumb. The thing is if you move the throttle down, you also move the horn underneath the handlebars. And I just don't like that. I don't like that the horn is underneath the throttle. That makes like no sense to me, like whatsoever. Like, so if I'm riding and I need to get someone's attention, I can't hold the throttle down and hit the horn at the same time. You would have to go like this, use the throttle with this hand and go like that. Why is the horn underneath the throttle? The horn should have been separate, like on this side, I think. But anyways, let's get into the turning test. Now, what's weird about this bike turning, it feels good. I love how this bike tracks straight though, because the tires are like really wide and they're flat. And then they just have a huge taper to the side. Like this goes straight off to the side. It doesn't round off at all. It is really square right here. So it turns great because the tire is very wide by 4 inches, but man, you get to a point where you just can't turn anymore. But for the average person just riding around, you're not gonna have a problem. And it actually turns very smooth, better than I thought it was. So I don't think you're gonna have any issues turning. And you can also make U-turns with this bike super quick. So that's what's nice. There's no shortcomings on turning. Like this is a turning radius. It's not like crazy good where it can turn all the way around. But the fact that I can make easy U-turns is nice. So the next thing we gotta do is the braking test. And I know this speed is accurate, so let me get up to about 28 miles an hour and not try to go any faster than that. And let's see. It's gonna be hard to try to get this like right. Here we go, here we go. We're at like 29, 28. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Woo! The braking test is the funnest test, I think. All right, so there we go. So we stopped behind the line that I normally stop like over or right at. So it actually is one of the better stopping e-bikes. And I have to think it has to do with these 4-piston caliber brakes, but also the tires too. So that's not very far. I slid in this little section, if you can see. So just right here to right here, because I stopped kind of like in the middle of this. That's not far at all. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 11 or 12 steps, like just walking normal from where we stopped at. This is great. And again, if these handles feel loose at all, just come in here and just tighten this little thing. It pulls a little bit away from the grip, so just keep that in mind, but it will make it nice and firm. So if you want it really soft and squishy, or if you want it nice and firm, you can adjust that. I love that. I think all bikes should have that. Most of them do. You just have to get an Allen wrench to go in there, but I like the ones that have the actual handles because it makes on-the-fly adjustments great without tools. Oh, we're on the nice new trail out here. I figured I would just give this bike a little bit more testing out here and just have a good time, because there's just some bikes that you get on that you enjoy, like you really do enjoy. And I ride, like, I don't know, like 4 new bikes a month. And this one, it takes the cake on how nice it is. Now, it is not as comfortable as a C3 Strom. I will say this seat is pretty comparable, but the suspension is not near as close as a C3 Strom Deluxe, the one that has the front suspension and the rear suspension. This bike is similar, maybe a little bit more jittery, I want to say, over bumps than the Raev 1, but it's very close to the Raev 1 in stock form. But look at this, we're coming uphill. Now it isn't like directly uphill, we're going around a circle, so we're kind of taking it a little bit easier. But it's coming up at no problem, 25, 26 miles per hour, and it is just blasting through this. Now the reason why I came up this way is because I wanted to go downhill and I want to see how fast this thing will go. Because some bikes have a cutout, and I don't know if this bike has a cutout or not, so we're gonna see if it just keeps going and going, or if it's gonna limit our speed to like 36, 37 or something. So we're gonna see right now. Thanks, appreciate it. Really appreciate it. I'd use my horn, but I gotta come over here to hit my horn. All right, so here's the test. 34, 35, 36. Close my visor. 37 roughly, so 36.9 is what it's saying. All right, I felt no cutout or anything like that, but I did expect this to go a little faster. But not too bad though, not too bad at all. Now I should have put on my wattage and seen if it lowered our wattage or not, but we are still getting about 1700 watts. So the next thing we got to do, ladies and gentlemen, as we lost one other battery bar, so we're down to 3, and I've only went like, how many miles have I went on this trip? 6.3 miles. And I like to show you guys how responsive the throttle is and the pedals are. So let's try this test out at a good like 10 miles an hour or so. So here we go. That felt great already. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. It's about like, I almost felt like a half-second delay. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's about a half a second delay. It's not the fastest throttle response I've ever felt, but it's decent. I'll take it though. It could be worse. There's some other bikes that take a full second delay. So anyway, what I'm really curious to see is how fast the pedals react. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's garbage. That is garbage. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's like a good 2-second delay. I don't know if you guys have your stopwatch at your house, but that is not okay. And what's gonna be funny enough is that the faster you go and when you pedal, the faster the pedals are gonna react if you're doing like 25, 30. But if when you're going slow like this and you gotta activate the pedals, the chainring is so big that it takes a while to make rotations on the crank. So it's actually gonna be slower reaction when you're going slower. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Oh, my leg popped trying to get that to move. Yeah, that's like a 2-second delay, but watch. Let's try this at like 25 miles per hour. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. Okay, barely any faster, and that's because I can make faster rotations, but still not the best to pedal. Do not buy this bike to pedal. I'm sorry, just don't do it. Now, does this bike feel stable one-handed off in the dirt? No, not really. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, not really. On flat road, it's okay. But like I said, the suspension is kind of like jumpy. So it's kind of like, you just kind of feel it like hopping around. It's not nice and plush in the front. So I don't trust one-handed riding on this bike. A little bit more so on road, but still I would not do it. Hello, Honda Civic. I'm just gonna pass you real quick. Let me give you one little love tap. I had to give it one little tap, you know what I'm saying? All right, here we go. Whee! Now I know I told you guys don't jump this off of like any big stairs. Now little curbs like that are perfectly fine, nice and smooth, but you definitely don't want to damage anything on this bike because it is not a jumping e-bike. But doing little stuff like that is totally fine. Go ahead. Just don't be looking for no 5 stairs or big loading docks or anything like that, because you could definitely break something on this bike. Now, something else you guys should know, or you're probably going to notice when you do get on this bike, because I have a full face helmet on right now. Oh, do not let go of the hands. Oh my God, this bike was about to crash. Is I can definitely hear the motor in the back. The motor in the back's making a lot of noise. It's just similar to the Raev 1 and the C3 Strom. I think the C3 Strom was a little bit more quieter, but the Raev 1 and this bike are pretty similar in how they sound. Not a big deal. This is exactly like the GT as well. It might sound a little louder at like top speeds, it has a little bit more power, but I'm not hearing these tires. That's what's kind of crazy, is I thought I was gonna hear these tires a lot more, but I'm definitely just hearing that motor. And with my full face helmet on, it's kind of noisy. So if you guys don't have a helmet like I do, you're definitely gonna probably hear that over anything. So another test that I think we should do is, it does have a 0 mode. So a 0 mode, does that mean the throttle doesn't work either? Oh, okay, the throttle doesn't work either. So this is where the bike might shine a little bit. Oh, this ain't comfortable. I'm sorry, this ain't comfortable. So with the big chain ring, if you don't have any power, the bike dies, whatever, or you just want to get a workout in, you can safely pedal at about 9 to 10 miles per hour, but it's also going to burn up your thighs. Definitely my legs are just rubbing up against this seat so bad that it does not feel comfortable. And if you want to be a little bit more comfortable, you got to move it to the front, but it also feels weird sitting that low, and then you can pedal. But the farther you sit back, the seat gets wider, and it just doesn't feel that good. So I'll try it again. Like right now, this is decently okay. Again, the bike is about 85 pounds, so it's not super crazy heavy, but it's just, I don't know, it's not that great to pedal though. It's not something that I would want to pedal for more than like a mile, and that's being gracious. We are just going to stick to the throttle, and I want to see how far I've went, and I want to see if my range matched up with my phone. So on here it says we did 8.3 miles. We're down 3 battery bars. The 3 battery bars are going to stay there for a decent amount of time, I've noticed, after doing 20 miles on this bike before doing the review. And right here, 8.2 miles. You can't get any better than that. That is actually pretty crazy on how accurate that is. Our top speed was 36 miles per hour. That was when we were coming down the overpass. And let's see if that matched up as well. Yeah, so 36.9 and 36.1 on here. That's pretty good. Can't complain about that. So I know I have rode this bike enough to give you guys a good conclusion if this bike is worth it or not. But I'm gonna go to the house and give you guys my final conclusion. And if you guys skip to the end of the video in this section, that's fine. I don't mind. Because I know a lot of this riding stuff gets kind of boring here and there. You just want to know the actual facts and whatnot. So let's go back to the house, and I'll tell you how I really feel about everything on this bike. All right, guys, final conclusion on this bike. I actually did exactly 10 miles on here by the time I came home, and I'm actually gonna check my phone and see if that's accurate. 9.8 miles on my phone and 10 miles on here, so you can't go wrong with what this display says unless you mess with the wheel diameter speed. Just don't. It comes perfectly out of the box. I love that. The grips, not a huge fan of the grips. They have these little rivet lines in them. They're supposed to kind of conform to your hands. I don't really like them too much. I'd probably replace the grips. I just feel like they're too bulky as well. They have like palm rests, so maybe you like that, but I didn't like them. Cable management, great. The headlight going out the first week I had the bike, unfortunate, but the company does have a 2-year warranty on this bike, so you guys can hit them up and say, hey, this went out, and they'll send you a new one. The only bad thing is you got to sit there and wait for it to come in. The front suspension, it's okay. It's like every other bike I pretty much have in my garage. It's not the smoothest compared to the rear suspension. The Fast Ace shock in the back is phenomenal. I love it. It's really nice and comfortable. Matched up with this extra long saddle seat right here that's made for 2 people. This seat is great, just not good for pedaling. Do not buy this bike to pedal. It's a single gear. I like the rear brake light as well. It's very bright and it works, and the bike just turned off right when I was gonna show it to you guys, so there's that. The only thing I'm not a big fan of this bike is of course, the kickstand. The kickstand is garbage. I don't know why mine's riveted in. Maybe it's just mine. I don't know. I got to watch some video reviews and see if people have the same issue as me. But moving on to the fenders. Now, they look stylish. I love how these fenders look because they're like a little half fender and it's real low to the tire. I love that. But it doesn't cover the back. So this whole battery right here is blasted with dirt. Like this whole under thing is just dirty as hell. The rear, on the other hand, just comes out right here. It looks sporty, but I would have liked to seen one that bolted right here and went all the way back to like right here. And that means that this is not gonna get all dirty because everything inside here is completely blasted as well. And I can even see dirt and water right on the back of this seat, and I didn't even touch the seat. So that means it's flying off of the tires somehow and getting on the back. So it's gonna get your back blasted, especially if you go through mud and all that kind of stuff. So just something to keep in mind. I would have liked to see BMX style handlebars on this bike, just so you can put extra accessories up here. So maybe on the next one they do, maybe they'll add some BMX handlebars on there, but handlebars are cheap. I mean, I don't know how much you guys are gonna wanna spend on top of after, you know, buying the bike, but you can get some BMX handlebars for about like 60 to 80 bucks, and they'll really change the style of it, especially if you want some lower ones, so you're kind of more lower to the ground, more cafe racer style. I kind of like that, but I will say the posture of this bike sitting on it feels really good. It's just the seat sits very tall, so you need to be over 5'5" to ride this bike, and you can definitely feel it when you sit on it. You definitely feel like you're tall. The handlebars are a little shorter. They're not like really up, but it's great overall. I love the styling of the bike. A lot of people were complaining about the 8 amp hour battery, saying like, oh, that's really nothing, but for them to get an extra 8 amp hours in here and it look clean, I'm not complaining about it. Like, you can easily get like 35 miles of range on this thing with throttle only in off-road mode. I don't think you're really gonna complain too much. The only bad thing, I guess, about these, they're not the same, so you can't swap them. So you can't move this one up here, you can't move this one down there. So once one's dead, it's dead. But what you definitely could do if you wanna lighten this bike up, if you're not gonna go for a very long trip, maybe you're just going to the store really quick, just take this other battery off. I think you need this top one on, and then you can hook up this one, but I don't think you can run off of this bottom battery. So just take this bottom one off and you'll save a couple pounds. That's something I would suggest doing. And overall, honestly, this bike is $2,100 right now, making this video with the single battery, the 20 amp hour battery. And that's good enough for about 25 miles of range with throttle only. I would highly recommend this bike. I would get it with a secondary battery just because range anxiety is a huge thing. So when you go on group rides, or you gotta make it to the group ride first if you don't have somewhere to transport this thing, then you can ride with your buddies. Then you need a battery life to come back home. So 28 amp hour battery is not too bad in my opinion. It's gonna give you some good range around town, unless the meet is like in the other city, then you might be screwed if you have no way of transporting this bike. I like it though, I really do. I would definitely get it with the dual batteries and spend about 2,500 bucks on this bike. And I would probably get it in green because green looks great. I've had the green one in the GT model. And if you're not looking at something like this because you're a shorter person, they did just come out with a brand new GT model, the version 2. So you might want to look into that if speed and power is really not your thing and you need something a little bit more compact and slightly slower. So I really recommend it. I highly do. There's discounts, links down all in the description. I love it. It's one of the fantastic bikes that I've been riding this year, or at the end of 2023. And I actually think I'm gonna go take it out for another spin. So watch the channel. I got more videos on this. I did 3 videos on this bike before I did this review, and then I'm probably gonna do a little bit more after. So see you guys in the next one. Subscribe, and you guys are the true MVPs for sticking around to the end of the video. Hopefully I helped you guys decide if this is a bike for you or not. And be safe out there. Wear your gear. Over curbs in the grass. Oh yeah, powers through, no problem.